I kind of have a bunch of different things that I had been thinking about. And I know that you and I had both started from uh, uh, a difficult point. Did you personally feel like you had to hit a rock bottom before you were willing to start the journey, or do you think that like you can do that before you get there? Do you think that it like that's common in people, they have to hit a rock bottom first, or do you kind of think that like if you really want it, like you can do it, but like
Hmm.
you don't necessarily have to
Yeah,
feel at your worst to start.
yeah. No, good question because it's one of those things where I was overweight like my whole life, right?
Mhm.
Suffering with that. And one of those things like after high school, I worked a construction job, like a well-paying construction job. And
Mhm.
I had like that lag between high school and like COVID, so it's kind of like prolonged for a little bit of time. I wasn't working, right? But then I finally got a well-paying construction job. And anyways, in that job, it was like, okay, this is like my trajectory. This is my path. This is what I'm going to do, right?
Mm.
But at the same time, I was this overweight, out of shape person who didn't care what they looked like, didn't care about themselves. And it's like, is this what I was meant to be? Like coming out
Mm.
of like becoming a man, right?
Mm.
Becoming a person.
Mm.
I'm not throwing shade in construction. It's a highly respectable job. But it's like,
Mhm.
was that the person I saw myself being? This out of shape worker, right? And I
Mhm.
knew I could apply myself in a school context. So it was like that mindset. I'd be like, okay, I'm not really supposed to be here in a sense of being like a construction worker. Yes, I liked it, but it's like I knew I could also go to school as well at the same time. And at the
Yeah.
same time, it was like I knew I could be in shape as well. I'm not where I can be. I'm not applying myself as hard as I
Mm.
can apply myself, right?
Mm.
So what made that switch, it was like it was almost like when I was working construction, I had these experiences talking to other guys, and a lot of the times, right, they would complain about the job, complain about their life or whatever, right? And I was somebody who would never speak up to these guys because you know how it is, with,
Mm.
being a younger guy of a construction crew or whatever. And I remember one guy was complaining. And I literally said like, "Whose fault is that?"
Mm.
And he was quiet. And just someone
Mm.
that would like it would always like kind of speak down to me, right? And
Yeah.
he knew exactly what I was talking about because it's on you. If you're not happy with where you're at, it's on you. And like that kind of clicked with myself because I knew is like if I'm not happy with where I'm at, I gotta change, right? I
Mm.
gotta start putting the action. So I basically quit that construction job. I
Mm.
enrolled in a college in Canada. It's college, but in the States, it's like a junior college, right? It's the
Mhm.
same type of format. So I enrolled in that, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start losing weight, and that's like when my weight loss journey started. And
Mm.
I reached out to a coach. I had my own coach as well, and
Mm.
he's not like a full on weight loss coach. He was more of like a powerlifting coach that also helped with nutrition guidance. So I learned a lot from him, and he's actually like a world class powerlifting coach. He has like world class athletes under him. So I gained a lot of knowledge, not just from like how to work out properly, but nutrition protocols on how to optimize weight loss, right?
Mm.
And at the same time, it allowed me to enjoy myself. And although I wanted to lose weight, I had to think about it in like a sustainable mindset. Be like, I'm becoming a new person, right?
Yeah.
It's this journey. Don't rush it, right? It's just who you are now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think once people switch from that mindset of, oh, I just need to lose 10 pounds right now, just think of it as like just fix your habits right now, right?
Mm.
Start eating healthier right now, right?
Mm.
That is kind of like you could say like that big switch that I just explained, right?
Mm.
Was that mindset shift?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it when you start, it feels really, really daunting.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels a little bit like a difficult mountain to overcome. I know that for me, the thing that started it for me was I committed to doing uh, walks around the block
Yeah.
to start, and I started to do it once, and then I started to do it twice a day. Then I started doing it 3 times a day, and then I was able to just like do longer walks, and you know, it started to spread out from there. But uh, I like to think about that part. Like, what is the kind of simplest routine you think you can give to people to start on a journey, because I think for everyone the most difficult part is that, and it's just like um, you need to have some kind of a semblance of a plan, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
what would you think that routine would be for you if you were to suggest that to somebody?
yeah. So the biggest thing I say, there's three steps, right?
Mm,
Step one is make sure you're weighing yourself every day. That is like a non-negotiable because you need to see where you're at. That's your progress tracking, right?
yeah.
The second thing is some sort of diet and play, and this is
Hmm.
either counting calories, right, or following like the keto, that sort of thing. But I really don't like that because then it restricts yourself to certain types of food.
Yeah.
So calorie counting is like the way to go, following your macronutrients because you know exactly what you're eating and you can
Hmm.
still enjoy yourself, right?
Mm,
And then the third thing here, obviously, I covered, weighing yourself, counting calories, but then activity levels, and it's quite simple. That's mostly noise. Yes, it will help you burn calories, but you just want to be able to slowly adjust, and this means you have to find something that is sustainable. So
mm,
if you can only do 2 days a week,
mm,
do a 2 day a week program. That's just like a full body 2 day. Just be consistent in that first. Don't try
mm,
the 5 day. Don't try the 3 day. Just do the 2 day, right?
mhm,
Because once you start that, you will build up. You could say like a tolerance to it, right? You are able to hit it, and then you just slowly increase your frequency, right?
mm.
You get used to that.
Yeah. So, for someone who is a beginner, then, what would you say is a good thing to do to start? Because for some people, like counting calories alone is
Mm.
like it seems daunting if you don't know what it is or what you're doing.
Yeah,
Like, is there like a simple tool that you use that helped you in the beginning, um, to start to do it? And did you find that it was more important to initially do it to like understand how much you were eating and how easy it is to take too many calories in, or did you use it only to track and stay within a limit?
yeah. So great question, and I'm just going to answer it in sections.
Yeah.
So the first thing I have to say in terms of like how to do it, you're a beginner, you don't know where to start, is obviously you need a food scale to start,
Mm,
and then you need some sort of tracking app. That is your
mm,
bread and butter. And then you're thinking, okay, well, how do I actually track it? How do I be accurate? And the truth is, you don't have to be accurate in your tracking. You just have to be consistent in your tracking. And you need to
mm,
get that number out of your head of like punching in like what's my metabolic rate, you know,
mm,
right? Because it might punch out like a number like 3,000 calories, but like, oh, I need to eat 3,000 calories to like stay the same weight, so I can eat 2,700. And then you track your food, and then your tracking could be completely off, right?
mm,
But you're doing it as like 2,700 and you're gaining weight, right?
yeah.
And you're not actually eating that much calories. But
Mm,
here's the thing: if you are tracking your calories and it's not accurate at all, but it's accurate, you can use that accuracy to slowly cut down your calories. So maybe you're quoting it as 1,800, which is very low for someone that's like 300 pounds, right?
mhm,
But you're not losing weight at 1,800. Then you have to take that 1,800, which you're tracking accurately, repeatable, just cut it down by like 100 or something. Just some,
mm,
some simple swaps. And then
yeah.
in the meantime, you need to evaluate your tracking habits, right?
Mm,
So the really easy one is tracking those fats because they're very calorically dense. If you're dumping like olive oil into like your pot, that's a lot
mm,
of calories. And if you're not tracking it, that's like it could be like 300 calories that you're not tracking, right? So
mm,
things like that. And it's what I'm trying to say here on the whole is you need to get like that ideal number of calories out of your head and more
mm,
get into the habit of making tracking the goal, right? Just tracking and having that number accurate and having your tracking methods accurate. Not really aiming for a goal just yet. You know what I mean?
mm. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, and um, I will probably get into a little bit of food stuff soon. I think the first thing I want to ask, though, just for like the sake of people who are looking to begin in this,
Mm-hmm.
is like one, what is one habit that has the highest return on investment for beginners? Is it the calorie counting? Is it the activity? Is it the is there one thing that you say that in your mind, at least on your journey, or
Mm.
that you find with other people you've worked with,
Mm-hmm.
that tends to stick the most uh, to keep the habits?
Yeah, there's two things.
Mm,
One is obviously that calorie counting is the big one, but
mm,
not doing it with a meal plan or strict foods, right? Just
mm,
having it and be like, okay, just eat whatever you want. Like, and the thing is, if you're 300 pounds, chances are you have bad eating habits already. Like,
yeah.
you probably still like your soda or chips, pizza, right? Snacks. You still like those things, but that is totally fine. But you
Mm,
just need to understand. Let's see how much of it you're eating, right?
mhm,
And then we can go from there. That's like
mm,
the big return on investment because once you become conscious of that, you're like, okay, holy crap, my eating habits are really bad. I just had like 7 slices of pizza for dinner, right? Something crazy, you
mm,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Or it could be like you're not paying attention. Like maybe you only had 3 slices, which is
Mhm,
that's a reasonable amount. But then
mhm,
after you're having chips, and then after
yeah,
you're having a slice of cake, and then
yeah.
after you had a regular soda, and right there, it's like okay, if you had the diet soda and you only had a slice of cake instead of the chips, you just saved like 400 calories, 500 calories right there, right?
Yeah.
That could be an example, right?
Yeah.
So
No.
that is a big one, and then obviously is I'm not saying this because I do coaching, but fitness coaching, right? That's what clicked for me. I'm
Mm,
not coaching people, and I never had a coach, right? And
mhm,
that was a big. I understand the power in it because it's like that accountability, right? Someone checks in with you, and you're like, hey, I see what you're doing, right? You're not making progress. Here's what you have to do to see the progress if you want to see it, right?
yeah.
And it comes down to that.
So, in other words, having some form of community to help encourage you is a big deal.
Yeah, and you could say uh, that's a great response of what you just said to what I said, but I would like
Mhm,
to expand on that further in terms of like immediate relations with family members and friends because
mhm,
um, I have family members, close family members who are also overweight, and growing up
mhm,
that makes it tough, right? I'm pretty sure there's statistics that show if your parents are overweight, the kid's gonna be so much more likely to be overweight, right? Um, but what I found is when I was going through my journey, right, it'd be like, okay, what are we gonna have for dinner? And you'd be like,
mhm,
what do you think of this? I'm gonna cook a meal. It's gonna be a certain amount of calories, blah blah blah. Like, yeah, that sounds good, right? And then everybody kind of joins in, and then everyone's kind of losing, even though they don't have as a serious goal as you. They're all kind
mhm.
of benefiting and being healthier, right? And
Yeah.
then they kind of get into that habit. Instead of
Mhm,
like going to pick up dinner now, they're going to pick up a healthier option to dinner instead of like some burgers and fries or something, right?
yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Um, what do you wish that you knew earlier in your fitness journey when you started?
Definitely calories.
Yeah.
I know it's like
Calories.
a no, but it's true. It's because the thing is, there's so much information out there, and everyone gets lost under like keto fasting, intermittent fasting, this new
Mhm.
method, this new food,
Well, yes.
juice cleanse at night, juice cleanse in the morning, right? And it's just like, oh my goodness, it's not that complex, right? And that's one of the things is like when you're overweight, you
Mm,
feel like it's impossible because
yeah.
there's so many people out there telling you what to do, right?
Yeah.
And you could be looking at me right now, and be like, "Oh, this is a guy telling me what to do," right? Or anybody watching this could be, "This is a guy telling me what to do." But literally, that's what happens, right?
Mm,
Is that it's about the food that you put into your mouth. It doesn't have nothing to do with the time of day, right? It has nothing to do with the types. Although some types of food are more satiating, they'll help you
mhm.
fill you up better, right? Obviously, there's that, but it comes down to that moderation. And,
Yeah, I agree. I think one thing that's helped me a lot in my journey so far was actually taking more time to understand me and how I work.
mm,
Um, like I can't restrict everything. It'll just cause problems. But small things like changing down to smaller plates or smaller bowls, that helped me a lot. Even something as simple as like I want to eat uh, Pringles. You just get a smaller container,
mm-hmm,
or if I wanted, let's say it was Cheetos or something. If I didn't get like the small bag, let's say it was a group setting, I would have chopsticks with me because you can only eat a few at a time.
yeah, yeah, no,
Like little strategies that work for me personally, but like I think everybody is different, and understanding themselves allows them to know like where that can go. And I like I guess my one thing, which is the thing that I maybe want to ask you, because like for
Mm-hmm.
me, I actually relate to this question too. And you said weighing yourself is a non-negotiable.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I do think though, there's the one thing that I wanted to ask you is like, you were able to do it. Some people have had like, and I know that I'm sure you've had it too, some mental health
Mm-hmm.
related issues with the scale,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe they're really not comfortable doing it every day to start.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what would you suggest for them to like make it slightly easier and ease into that habit?
Mm-hmm. It could be
Because
like, yeah, I would say like maybe once a week. But the
mhm,
thing is even if I were to suggest something like 3 times a week, right? Say you did
mhm,
have that 3 times a week, and that
mhm,
first weigh in was light, that second weigh in was heavy, and then you're like, oh crap, what am I gonna do? And then you're gonna like starve yourself for that third weigh in, so you weigh lighter,
mhm,
right? So I wouldn't recommend like something like that. The other way, like I said, that once a week is probably the next closest option.
mhm,
Um, but then it causes a bit of a disparity in true progress, because
mhm,
that maybe that 1 week beforehand you weighed super light because you didn't eat a lot the day before, you went for a big run, you were sweating, you don't have a lot of food and water and salt in your body, so you're going to weigh lighter. And then that next week, the day before, maybe you still ate all the calories that you're supposed to, still ate very cleanly, but for some reason you just had your meal later that night, you didn't have as much activity, you didn't sweat, you could literally put on like 3 to 5 pounds,
yeah,
right? And
yeah,
and in a week, you see like a 3 to 5 pound gain, and you're like, holy crap, I just stayed on my whole calorie goal for 3 to 5. You know what I mean? And I gained 3 to 5
mhm,
pounds. So that's why I'm not a big fan of it. It's
okay,
it, yeah. In terms of like building that mental resilience,
mhm,
what I like to do is I don't even look at the number on the scale daily. It's that average number after seven
mhm,
days. That's like the number that I'm worrying about. And it's like once you do it enough, then you
mhm,
realize that the average number is what matters. So it's like you just got to build that like mental toughness of like, okay, this is the daily weight. It's in the books. Who cares, right?
yeah.
I'll see that number at the end of the week and see how it looks compared to all these different numbers that are going to make up my average.
Yeah, and I think that leads to like the most important point is I think a lot of people misunderstand the relationship with the scale.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the issues a lot of people need to understand is it's not about the number on the scale, as you said, it's the average. So like I think a lot of people don't necessarily understand the fact that like yeah, you gain and lose weight a lot daily. So it's by having that average, you can see that downtrend, and that downtrend is only available if you're super consistent, right? Um, it took me a long time to understand that I could go up 5+ pounds because I had drank too much water and my body wasn't used to it and it was holding water.
Mm.
Sorry, my uncle just came in.
It's okay.
um, yeah, so I think one of the things that people need to be aware of in their fitness journey is the relationship with the scale isn't what they mean, because to them that number is something they checked infrequently
Mm-hmm.
and it slowly went up, and then they don't understand, no, it's a different kind of tool. You're using the tool incorrectly in a way to manage your
Yeah.
health.
And
Yeah.
to be fair, I was the same way, right? If I saw the scale move up, I'm like, okay, like I wouldn't starve myself, but it'd be like, okay, I'm really being strict with what, like I'm really making sure my calories are correct. I'm
Yeah.
like, I would kind of cheat a little bit. I wouldn't drink that much water the previous day. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
I just want to see that number come down a little bit.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's gonna even out because like if you don't drink, you not eat. When you do drink and eat, that weight's just gonna come back up again. You're just gonna be holding more fluid and food in your body, right? So
Yeah. Did you find with that though, through the tracking, it also helped you understand some foods your body may like uh work work better with fuel, and some foods that it might actually use to like retain weight or make you feel worse just because you're thinking about it more often.
Yeah, for sure. There's a couple things, and the things that really like kind of like bloat people or even myself is
Mm,
obviously like that processed fast food,
yes.
salty food, and it's not just bloat; it's also like inflammation, those sorts of
Hmm.
things. Um, but when you just eat clean, like relatively low ingredients, that's when you don't have a really big bloat, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not having too much sodium; it's not so processed. So
Mm,
those things really help, and that's what I find. And the thing is, I've been eating clean now for a long time, right?
mm,
Like because I'm at my goal body weight, and I've been eating clean. But now when I do eat takeout, and like if I were to have like a large portion of it, I like feel it in my gut. Where like
mm,
old me is like I could crunch it easy, and I wouldn't feel too bad about it. But now I kind of like get like a sickness because my body's not used to it,
yeah.
right?
No, that makes a lot of sense. I was wondering like what your stance was personally for on doing specific types of workouts for just weight loss. Like this is mentioned a lot in social
Mm-hmm.
media. So how do you feel about that?
Yeah, no, definitely a great question because it, in my opinion, it really, really is beneficial to have some sort of resistance training
Mm,
because resistance training is obviously you're not going to burn a lot of calories, but you're also not going to burn a lot of calories from just doing straight cardio. But
yeah.
resistance training is going to help you build up muscle mass. That's going to raise how many calories you're burning per day, right?
Mm,
It's going to be strengthening your tendons, right? Your
mm,
ligaments, those things. So a lot of times when people are overweight, they begin out not super flexible,
mm,
meaning they aren't strong in certain range of motions. So
mm,
including resistance training in that sense is strengthening them to be in those positions, to strengthen them in those positions,
mm,
right? They're working on their motor patterns, right? And it's kind of like bulletproofing them for
mm,
when they're living their everyday lives. If they're going to pick up their son, or or going to pick up their grandkid, or lift a keg of beer,
mhm,
right? You know what I mean? They have that, right? And this is just what I'm not saying. It's not only for people that are overweight, just anybody in general. Just regular resistance training has numerous benefits, right? And
yeah.
then in the context of weight loss, it helps tremendously because, like I said, you're raising that base metabolic rate,
Mm,
burning your calories, right? I try not to use the fancy terminology, but burning more calories, right? You have more muscle mass, and then also your body is going to be able to use food a lot more optimally, right?
mm,
Because think of it as like going for a walk after a meal. It helps your digestion because your body is like using the food as fuel. And the same is in the sense of food for workouts, right? Your
mm,
body is drawing energy from somewhere, right?
mm,
Obviously, in a deficit, it's drawing from your fat stores, right? But your body's also using the food that you're putting into it as fuel, right?
mm,
Especially food is fuel,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And I think with that, what is your stance on doing things that help with flexibility outside of just like weight training? Do you think it's important to supplement that with stretching? Do you think it's important to supplement that with uh, types of yoga? Like, how important is ensuring you have some flexibility uh, a part of the weight loss journey, or is it more a part of like just general body maintenance once you have those habits set in place?
Yeah, great question. I definitely, if you're someone who's never really worked out before and you live a fairly sedentary life, uh, having a set of consistent routines 3 to 5 days a week will do you really well because like I said, chances are if you're sedentary you don't have a range of motion, and then in terms of like importance for weight loss, you could call it like a 5 maybe because it's almost entirely diet, right?
Yeah.
uh, but with that said, is once you're able to squat down properly, do a push up, right, support yourself with your own weight, it's gonna make working out way easier for you, right?
Mm,
Because if you think about it, if you go into like a movement or something, if you're doing a leg press, right, or you're just doing a body weight squat with weight, how are you going to be able to squat weight if you can't squat properly with no weight?
yeah.
Right? So I feel like a lot of people would be like, "Oh, I just need to go to the gym, do some resistance training," but it's like you got to be able to like learn to move your body without weight first,
Yeah.
right? it's, it's basic because that's how like injuries happen, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, one quick pause, by the way. Like I said, with the biggest issue I think people have right now, and you've mentioned it multiple times in your videos too, is there's a lot of noise out there.
Hmm.
There are a lot of people telling you you should eat a certain way, you should move a certain way, you should take a certain supplement. But at the end of the day, like, what's the biggest misconception people have for quote like the fat burning workouts?
Mm. I say the high intensity stuff. High
Yeah.
intensity interval training. I don't know if you're familiar with the acronym, like HIT,
Oh yeah.
right? That it does like you're burning calories, but it's like it's exhausting. You know what I mean? And you get like a lot better ROI if you're just watching your calories a little bit closely, and you just do like some moderate cardio, right?
Yeah.
That is kind of like the big ones, like uh, uh, what is it? Belly fat burning exercise at home, right? It's like all
Yeah.
core, and it's like that's not really how you like get fat off your body on your stomach, right?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I think for myself it was getting through a lot of that noise was a big factor in figuring out what works and just finding basics
Yeah,
are
yeah.
important. Because I used to be one of those guys that did like Sean T's insanity workouts and all of those. It was not sustainable ever.
But the other ones like muscle beach body, like those type of
Yes,
series, right? Yeah.
all of those. Yes. Um, I guess we kind of went over this,
Hmm.
but I think well, I wanted to ask you in a more all-encompassing way.
Hmm.
How how would you or how do you or would you help people who can't track calories in the same way due to mental health concerns? Like, what would you do
Hmm.
to help them start easing into that? Because I
Yeah.
like it's a big issue for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's definitely a great one. A good one is switching to like almost a completely whole foods diet,
Mm,
because that just cuts out like so many options that are like really calorically dense,
mm,
and usually like whole foods are a lot more filling,
yeah.
right? And a good rule of thumb is do like 80% whole foods, so you can still enjoy yourself with some other things, right?
Mm,
But almost like an entirely whole foods diet would be like my advice, just
yeah.
because aside from the calories, you're also getting like a really good stack of micronutrients, right?
Mm,
Like a potato is a lot more nutrient dense than some sort of processed carbohydrate, right?
yes.
Obviously.
Yeah, yeah. Do you find it helped you immensely, like, learning more about foods, like the kinds of foods that fill you more, the kinds of foods to look for certain nutrients?
Hmm.
Like, did you find that it was easier to do as you were going more on your journey rather than just, like, looking all of it up before you start? Because I know there's a lot of people that are like that too, like, they
Yeah.
wanna have everything ready, but at the end of the day, they lose interest or they exhaust themselves or something happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's actually a really good question, because when I first started, I didn't give two craps about eating healthy. I
Mhm.
just I just saw the calorie goal, and I'm like, I'm fitting it in the calories and I'm happy. As long as I wasn't hungry, I was
Mm,
pretty good. So I was still having chips, pizza, chocolate, cake, cookies, whatever, fitting it within, and I would be smart with it because eventually my calories would come down a little lower. So I'm like, okay, I would just have a little bit less at breakfast. Or instead of having three eggs, I'm having one egg with egg whites. So I just saved a bunch of fat in my morning. So that's
mm,
like, going from cutting out two eggs worth of fat, that's like 11 grams of fat. That's like a
yeah,
serving of chips worth of fat. So
yeah,
I'm having a serving of chips. Football's on. I'm going to watch football. And I'm having a serving of chips, and I know I'm losing weight, right?
yeah, yeah.
So
It
it's like one of those things. And the only thing where it transitioned is as you
mm,
lose weight, your calories obviously have to come down if you want to see
mm,
sustained progress. But this is where you got to switch to foods that are going to fill you up more because you have less calories to draw from. But that is kind of like suffering from success issue, because it's like you're at the stage where it's like, okay, your calories are low enough now that you can't really get away with eating pizza and chocolate for breakfast, lunch, and dinner,
yes.
right?
Yeah, I definitely understand that. One thing that a lot of people don't really realize, and even if they have a lot of success in a weight loss journey, um, is metabolic adaptation
Mm-hmm.
plateaus.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, most people I've known that have gone on journeys have had them,
Mm.
and they found them immensely discouraging because sometimes a plateau can last weeks, a
Yep.
month, and they might have to make some changes or something to adjust that plateau. But like, what do you think about metabolic adaptation and plateaus, and like how to best navigate that if it's starting to happen, if they notice their weight isn't changing or even
Mm.
has gone up a tiny bit?
Mm. So a good rule of thumb is to take diet breaks every so often. So like
Mm,
3, 4 months or so. And I think we talked about this last time, but a good way to like implement them is to have them during holidays, events,
yeah.
things that you know that obviously food, you're gonna be eating more food. So it's like you're
Mm,
being strategic with your progress. And
mm,
these diet breaks aren't like you're eating in a surplus. It's like you're eating in a deficit, maybe just, or sorry, you're eating in a slight deficit, or maybe you're eating at maintenance, or you're just eating at a slight surplus, right?
mhm,
And you just do this. It can be anywhere from like a week to a month, right?
mm,
And then in the meantime, you kind of be optimistic with your calories. Be like, okay, I have extra calories to play. I'm gonna increase my workouts now, right? Just because I have the extra fuel, so to speak,
mm,
right? And then at the end of it, then you start this phase again. And the goal is, in this diet break, is not necessarily put on weight, but it's to give your body a break to catch up, to recover, give yourself a mental break, enjoy the foods that you like,
mm,
enjoy yourself on those holidays, right? Christmas, American Thanksgiving's coming up, right?
mm.
Those sorts of things. So I think, I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but my first year dieting for Christmas, I brought 2 cans of tuna to a Christmas party and put it in a salad. And I was like, don't do that, right? Just enjoy yourself, right?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that would be a very difficult Christmas, I can imagine. um, yeah, I think another thing that I think is important for a lot of people is to um, understand and know a little bit more about like body composition, how like your weight may not be changing, but your body is still changing.
Mm-hmm.
Could you speak a little bit more to that and why it's important to understand that factor when you're on a journey like this?
Yeah. So what I have to say for body composition is literally clothes are going to start to feel differently, right?
Mm,
And what you have to understand is like you're going to start to feel more confident in yourself because like that shirt that you tried on 3 months ago, it's fitting a lot looser, right? And it's almost like saying goodbye to like your past self.
mm,
Like it's almost like I see the progress, and it's like these are the things that I would really take note of outside of the scale, right? Because the scale, like I said, the scale is nice for your tracking, but as you know, the scale isn't super accurate for those day-to-day wins,
yeah.
but it is accurate for those like month-to-month wins, or week to week, or like bi-weekly, more of a large view win, right? But
Mm,
those wins that like that day feels like you're on top of the world is when you do feel like these body composition differences, right? Where
mm,
for example, it could just be like sitting in my chair, right? Like
yeah.
right now, like when I was heavier, like my videos, I literally sat up maybe like this, like my head was up here, just because I had so much more fat on my butt, right? So I
Yeah.
literally shrunk in my chair, and I remember actually almost getting rid of this chair because it was getting too small for me at one point. And the weight limit on this chair I think is like 290 pounds. Right?
Yeah.
I was above it. I was like, obviously you want something new, something fancy. It's like, oh, maybe time for a new chair. But
Mm,
in reality, it was like, I just need to lose some weight,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's really important. I think with that, I wanted to actually ask you personally, as someone who's been going through this journey, like, do you did you with throughout the journey, and do you even now still to this day from time to time ever deal with any type of like body dysmorphia, like you still kind of forget or have this feeling that you're still in your fatter body, and like what helped you handle or manage that?
Yeah, that definitely right on point because I'm still not comfortable, like, you
Mm,
know, taking off my shirt, those sorts of things. I will not lie, right?
mm,
I'm not gonna lie to anybody, but I think it's because I've grown up that way and I never was comfortable, right? So I still have those habits,
yeah,
that mindset within me, and then I do have that be like, man, like I'm out of shape, I'm overweight, right? Those sorts of things. But what really kind of like just dampened that feeling was taking action on what I had to do that day. So like, for example, like I do my cardio. I do cardio every day, right?
mm,
I hated cardio, right? I despised it, right? And before doing that cardio, I would have those feelings, be like, oh man, you're not making progress. Like you're
yeah,
overweight, right? And then it's like, just do my cardio. Right? Let's just get the cardio out of the way first, see how we feel.
yeah,
Because the fear that you have now of yourself in the future
mm,
of losing weight, right? That person, everything that they're worrying about,
mm,
you need to promise yourself, be like, will I have those same exact fears if I lose the weight?
yeah,
And if you are honestly asking yourself that question, you're probably saying, no, I'm not. Like obviously, I said I have that I'm not comfortable taking my shirt off, but in terms of like going out in public and people seeing you, right, and it's a completely different feeling, right? Because you know you accomplished what you want to accomplish,
yeah.
right?
I guess the main thing is like it's something that can still affect you, but it's quieter,
Yeah,
and as time goes on, it gets easier.
yeah, exactly, right? It's the what I have to urge people is don't make the fear and like the pain points at the end and his excuse, because those pain points are way less than the pain points that you're facing now,
Yeah,
right? That is the issue, right?
yeah. One second, I got
It's
a
okay.
cough. Whew. Okay. I think that that leads into something really important, and it's how did this change affect you in terms of like your mental state? Like, what mental changes came with the physical transformation as it was happening?
Yeah, the big one was viewing people with less judgment, viewing
Mm,
people with more kindness,
mm,
because when you're overweight, when I was overweight, I was a bit more bitter, right? And it's kind
mm,
of like you're not taking accountability for who you are. And it's
mhm,
like you're suffering, you're in this state, and you're like, man, these people are in shape. These people have partners. These people have
mm,
lots of friends. They're not shy. They're comfortable in their own bodies. And you kind of like take it out. You're judging them, be like, oh, they're too good for me, right? They
mm,
don't want to hang out with me, or you know what I mean, like that. And
mhm,
then when people are mean to you, you're like, yeah, that's exactly what I thought, right?
mm.
They're mean to me because I know exactly why they're mean to me, right? Or
Yeah,
they're not treating me nice because I know exactly why, right? But now, it's like, it's not like that.
yeah,
Now it's like, maybe they're being mean to you because something they're experiencing, and something in their
yeah,
own shoes, and that's that's like the full circle I'm talking about here. Because if I see my old self today, right,
mhm,
I know what my old self went through. And I
yeah,
know that he may be acting a certain way that day because of what he experienced. Maybe someone said something that day, and he's just not having a good day, right?
yeah,
So it's like that mindset shift of giving people benefit of the doubt now. If someone's
mm,
being mean to you, it's like, why are they acting that way? Does something happen to them, right?
mhm,
Something like that. You know what I mean? Instead of like, why are they doing it to me?
yeah, yeah. I think that's a great thing. I think a lot of the time you're right. It's more people are lashing out because something's happening to them personally.
Yeah.
Did you find it difficult as you hit your goals? Did you find it difficult to navigate situations? Like, did you notice people treated you differently when you had lost weight? Like their attitude towards you was different, and did you struggle with that?
Yeah, yes and no, because there's two types of
Mm,
people. There was the people that were, I was like, I'm losing weight, and they'd
mm,
be skeptical, right, and they
mm,
wouldn't really like support me.
mm,
But then after I lost the weight, they'd be like, wow, really good job. Like, I wouldn't have
mm,
thought you would have done that. Like, that's crazy. Versus
mm,
the other set of people where like they see I'm trying to lose weight, they'd be like, yeah, like let's go, really supportive. And then they
mm.
see you succeed, and they go, whatever, right?
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I've been one of those people.
you got both sides of it. And
Yeah.
to be honest with you, it's like I try not to think about it too much,
Mm,
right? And like I said, yes, people have treated me differently in the past, and
Hmm.
it could be because of how I looked and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
I just think of how can I help the situation, right?
Hmm.
Would being bitter, would be being mean in reciprocation, would that do anything to the conversation or interaction that I'm having currently?
Yeah.
And the answer is no, right? It's not going to help.
Yeah. I think that's totally a reflection of my experience as well.
Yeah.
Do you when let me think about it. When how do you maintain your discipline for yourself while
Mm,
you're doing this
mm,
when the motivation isn't there? Like I'm sure you've
yeah.
got it into a science now, but I want you to think about you when you started this
Yeah.
and then how that's changed and how it's become maybe easier.
Yeah. It's the one thing that I saw a big takeoff in is taking pushing yourself in an environment first, not consistently, but just pushing yourself in an environment that you're not comfortable in, and just
Mm,
taking one big stride in that. And
mm,
for me, like a good example was like cardio. Like I said, I hated cardio, but I was like, okay, it's this one day of the week. I'm going crazy on the bike today.
yeah.
I'm going as hard as I can, and I would set a new record on the bike. It was just something simple like that, and
Mm,
then that eventually led to that habit where it's like that regular rate of cardio was easy. You know what so it's like you can apply that principle almost to anything you do, and it could be like working out, right?
mhm.
Or counting calories or something, right? Maybe you're just half-assing your workouts. You'd be like, okay, this day of the week, this is the day of the week that I go hard, and every single week you just say I'm going hard on this day, and then the other weeks, the other days you can like coast or half-ass whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then eventually those workouts that are like coasting and easy, they're like really easy now, right?
Mm,
And that was kind of like that shift almost, right?
yeah. Did you I don't know if you want to like elaborate on it, but like what was your like personal like no more excuses turning point? When did that like hit?
Mm. It was like the like to not lose weight, excuse to not lose weight. You're saying?
Yeah, like no excuses. I'm
Yeah,
gonna do this. I'm gonna hit that goal no matter what.
yeah. It was more of getting down to like an ideal body weight and seeing like a threshold or a milestone. So it's like, say, like I remember my goal was I think it was 220 or something, and I remember we like I'm in the 260s, right? Like I saw 2.6 on the scale. I didn't see 2.7, and
Mm,
seeing 2.6 was like, how many more times do I have to do that until I'm at 220?
yeah.
That's what it broke down to. I never looked at 220 as the long term number, right? Like at
Mm,
my goal, my goal was like, okay, I see 2.6. Next number I want to see the scale at is now 2.5, and that's it. And
mm.
then when I saw that 2.5, like I got like that special feeling in my stomach. It was like Christmas morning, right? And
Yeah.
then you're like, man, like I'm down from 300. I see 2.5 on the scale. I just need to do that again one more time, and that was easy, right?
Mm,
And it's like I'm boom, I'm done, right? And
yeah.
that's what it was like. It was more of those small manageable goals.
Mm,
For me, I got really excited when I just seen like that new milestone, like I said, that 2.5 on the scale, or that 2.4, or that two
mm.
three, right? 2.30. I was like, oh my goodness, right?
Yeah, I think that's a big win. I think every time I had checked my weight and I went down that 10-pound threshold is when you're like, oh my god. The biggest one for me obviously was being under 300. It was
Yeah,
wow. I'm finally I for some reason in my brain I felt more like I could be more myself suddenly. I
yeah,
felt like I got past a bad point of no return in my mind, or like not maybe not bad, but a point of no return that I didn't think I could come back from once I had crossed the threshold. And I started having more faith that if I keep doing this, I can get to where I want to
yeah.
go. I think one of the things that we talked about last time, but I wanna ask you more about
Mm-hmm.
was injury, because
Mm-hmm.
injury is something that had prompted me to talk to you and
Yeah,
ask
yeah,
about like how like you can especially when it's one where for me I couldn't even get on my knees for a while. It took about a month to uh, be able to get up and lay down without having a problem. And it did throw me off my habits, and it's taken a lot of work to get back to that. So, when injured, how did you maintain some momentum without worsening your injury?
Yeah. So the best course of action, because for context, I had the disc bulge right when I was
Yes.
I had a back injury, but the best course of action is applying some sort of movement that you can do that is almost entirely pain free
Mm-hmm.
or close to pain free with a threshold of like 2 or 3, and then just working that threshold until you can increase the range of motion, increase the volume you're doing, increase the intensity, meaning more weight, and
Mm-hmm.
that is how you kind of get back into it or just keep consistent, right? Because
Yeah.
essentially you're doing everything that you can
Yeah.
without aggravating the pain further,
Yeah.
right? And that's the goal, is like just to keep doing it. So you got to be able to find a set of range of motion or a set of exercises that aren't painful, or like I said, at like a 2 to 3 pain, and just
Mm.
working at it until you can start to do a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
Because the worst thing is doing nothing.
Yes.
Yeah,
Doing nothing it makes it a lot harder.
yeah,
Well, what's the best way to or maybe like what advice would you give to someone, maybe me, who
yeah,
has fallen off and is having difficulty getting back on?
yeah. The biggest one is creating a plan that
Mm-hmm.
is, you could say, specific to yourself, right? So you got to look at one, your schedule. Where can I work out? When can I work out? How long can I work out? Right?
Yeah.
Get that out of the way, and it's like a contract that you sign with yourself. You're like, okay, I'm working
Mm-hmm.
out 3 days a week, and if I can't hit like one of the days of the week, then I got to make up for it somehow, right?
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is obviously getting a way to tracking your progress. So either writing it down on your phone, right, with your body weight, your calories, using a tracking app, that sort of thing. And don't make adjustments to your plan if you're not seeing, only if you're not seeing results like after 2 to 3 weeks, because it is a slow rate of progress, right?
Yes.
And that is like overall how you see progress, right? It's a slow thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Um, how do you how does improving your fitness and your in your experience
Mm-hmm.
change your ability to like handle your daily life, like focus, stress, mood?
Yeah, I would say I'm definitely a lot less moody. Although I do, I like, I have emotions like anybody,
Hmm.
but definitely I feel way more energetic, like
Yeah.
way more. Just like going up the stairs, getting off the couch, waking up in the morning,
Hmm.
it's like it feels like a different person.
Yes.
Um, and in terms of like mental clarity, I would say I don't have that anger in my
Mm.
mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't have like, because like I said, it's like, I know it sounds corny, but it's like hurt people, right?
Hmm.
And when you're overweight, you're struggling with something, you're
Hmm.
hurting, right?
Yeah.
And you're more likely to hurt, not physically hurt other people, but hurt, like poetically speaking, right? You're
Hmm.
not nice to people,
Yeah.
right? When you are like in a state like that, and the same thing can be said for someone that's suffering like financial stress, right?
Hmm.
The chance that they're going to be kind to someone, you know, it's a variable.
It's a feedback loop because it's sometimes whether it's anger or sadness, you if you feed into it, you can tend to make your own situations worse.
Yep.
Yeah. I find for myself, since I do office work, the biggest benefit was and continues to be, and I'm working towards being even better, is mental energy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, because I've also worked I've worked blue collar jobs, white collar jobs, and the one thing that had always stood out to me was with a white collar job, I was always so mentally tired at the end of the day. I found it very hard to do things.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, I tried to do all my workouts in the morning
Mm-hmm.
because uh, I could not make myself do them in the evening.
Yeah.
My brain was like, no, there's no
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
um, when how do you differentiate when you have injuries though, like between like necessary rest and avoidant behavior, because there is a fine line, and I think it's easy to fall
Hmm.
into that trap. I think that I personally had fell into that trap, and now I'm working towards walking back from that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the fine line is you got to agree to yourself that you can do what you're physically able to do outside of that injury. So a lot of times, like if I were like I felt the injury in my back,
Mm,
but I was still able to do my cardio. So it's like,
yeah.
I got a back injury, I can't do it, right? But it's like, you can still do it, right? It's like, okay, that part of your program is on it's on the back burner, right? Okay,
Mhm.
that's fine. You can tell
Yeah.
yourself honestly, but you still got these other things you got to do. It's not like your back is holding you back. No pun intended, but it's not holding you back from putting food in your mouth or the correct food. Does
Yeah.
your back have anything to do with your hands and mouth? No.
Yeah.
Right? So it's things like that, right? It's
Yeah.
like you have other objectives as well. That's like, okay, although it's a priority, it's just you can't do it right now. So you got to focus on what you can do.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is like a health journey isn't just about a health journey can't only be about a set discipline that can't change. You need to have what they call neural plasticity. You have to be able to adapt. You have to be able to be like, okay, well, this thing happened. What can I do to mitigate that? Like, let's say you had your back injury, so you could do cardio. You couldn't do the weights because obviously that would make it worse, but you could do minor workouts. You could swim
Yep.
maybe,
Yep.
um, and also help your back heal in that process too, right?
Yep.
But while still maintaining strength. So
Yep.
being able to adapt is really important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's almost like you got to think like you're in the army, you're a soldier, right? And you got a list of objectives to do, right?
Hmm.
And it's like, okay, I got this objective, but I can't attain the objective. It's not physically possible right now, so I got to
Hmm.
focus on the other objectives,
Yeah.
right? And once you kind of like make that clear cut in your head, it's like, okay, because it's like every before you go to bed every day, it's like, did I win the day?
Yeah. I think that's the one thing that people may mistake is um, everything has to be done in a structured way to the point where like if you can't do that thing the whole thing falls apart, but it's not about that. You still have the goal, you just have to go about that objective slightly differently.
Yeah,
You have to be able to adapt.
yeah, exactly right. It's like the slash in the tires analogy, right? You
Yeah.
have if you got one blown tire, are you gonna go out and blow like slash another tire so you got two tires left on your car,
No.
right?
Yeah. One thing that I feel like isn't talked about enough or given enough emphasis is the sleep element of your weight loss journey. Can
Mm.
you talk a little bit more about how important sleep is in your fitness and weight loss philosophy, just in terms of allowing your body to rest to build muscle or
Yeah,
maintain the habits?
yeah, definitely very important for muscle recovery, muscle performance, right? Like the simple terminology you put in your head is you don't sleep, you don't grow, and grow as your muscles, right? So it's very important in that aspect because if your sleep is not on, you cannot grow like muscle. It's very hard to
Yeah.
do with no sleep. Now, with that said, obviously, it has numerous health benefits. I can ramble on about it, but in terms of like weight loss, it will help with your diet, right? Um, but a little cheat code that I liked actually when I was overweight is if I could sleep in, I
Mm.
would, and I would like skip breakfast,
Mm.
right? Because it's almost like you can like stay up really late. Because if you think is like you brush your teeth, are you gonna be eating after you brush your teeth? Probably not. So you can be like, okay, I'm gonna sink a couple hours watching TV or something, or play a video game, whatever you like to do, and then
Mhm.
you're gonna sleep in instead of eating at the regular time. You're up at like lunchtime or so, or around lunch by the time you get all your stuff together, and right.
Yeah.
That's kind of like it's a little off topic, but that's just something that came to mind, right?
Yeah. No, and I think that's important. Did you have to rethink or set up a habit for you to get better sleep?
I found I felt and performed best when I had a consistent uh, nighttime schedule and consistent wake up schedule. And
Mm.
I know research has shown that. I know I don't have a sorry, excuse me. I don't have a list of APA cited sources, but I have read that to be true.
Mm.
If you're
Yeah.
going to bed at a consistent time and you're waking up at a consistent time, it helps you function throughout the day. And I know you can probably relate to this, but you know, you have your regular work schedule, and then maybe one night you stay up to like 3 or 4 in the morning, and then you wake up around like noon, you probably
Oh,
feel really bad, right?
yeah. The whole day is kind of ruined that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I wanted to speak to that because for me, it was super like quintessential for me to be able to maintain this.
Hmm.
And maybe it's because I'm like a very distracted ADHD kind of person. But I had to go through a whole process to be able to get ready for bed. So I would, I actually keep my phone in a separate room, and I have a separate alarm, a daylight alarm
Hmm.
that goes off at the same time every day.
Uh huh.
Because if I have the phone in my room, I have the screen in my face, and if I have the screen in my face, I don't go to bed. And if I have the screen beside me when I do go to bed, I wake up, I pick up the screen, and I have a chance that I'll doom scroll, and then I miss out on my morning routine.
Yeah.
And I've tested it within the last few days, and I was like, yeah, I had missed an entire morning that I could have gotten a workout in. I could have gotten all of like my breakfast. I could have had my shower ready, but I just doom scrolled. I felt terrible. I managed to throw clothes on and get to work, and it was not a good time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it actually ruined my week. But
Yeah.
it emphasized the importance of having doing what you have to do for you to ensure that you have a good sleep and what keeps you consistent. So,
Yeah.
um, I guess I have a few questions about um, like some of your training philosophy.
For sure. For sure. I can take a few more.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
a couple more.
Yeah.
Um, how do you progress training for someone without access to a gym?
Yeah. So, really good ones is obviously body weight workouts at home.
Hmm.
But what you want to do in these body weight workouts at home
Hmm.
is unilateral movements, and what I mean is like single leg work, right?
Mm.
But if they are unable to do things like that to start, then you really just got to focus on the basics of doing full range of motions like a body weight squat, right? If you can't do a crunch properly, if you can't do it, you're doing like a hold. You're doing the easier variations of those body weight movements first, and then you're slowly ramping it up as you can get better at it. Right.
Mm.
That is the way to go. In terms of like working out your full body, the only part that's really hard to work out at home with zero equipment is your back because you can't really like pull anything, right?
Yeah.
Um, you could do like some makeshift setups with like a door frame and like a towel. They're called towel rolls. Um,
Mm.
those sort towel rows, excuse me.
Oh.
Those sorts of things. There's like I think they're called snow angels, right? Those things as well to work your back. But you can get away with exercising your full body and not having any equipment
Mm.
by doing those unilateral movements, push-ups, sit-ups, incline push-ups, single leg squats, right? And then on top of that, just doing like going for a jog for a little bit of time, right?
Mm.
Doing that as like an at-home workout that you squeeze in for like 30, 45 minutes, that'll do you pretty good.
Awesome. I have three more questions. Is that
Oh
okay?
yeah, okay, okay. Yeah.
Which which single or what exercises do you consider non-negotiable in a warm-up and why?
Mm. I just have to answer with one question first, and then I'll answer it. What would the goal be first? Because it's goal specific, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of people that watch your content, specifically, like
Mm-hmm.
that's what I did was in terms of like weight loss. So,
Yeah, the warm up that I would be is cracking like a sweat, just
mm,
getting your body warm, because when you go into resistance training cold, one your joints aren't warm, so higher probability of injury, obviously.
mm,
Um, but the second thing here is you don't have like blood flow, meaning you don't have like a bit of adrenaline in your
mm,
system, and you're not really like hyped up for like your exercise.
yeah,
So if you were to do some sort of cardio movement, something to get your heart rate going before you jump into that, one, it's going to lower the chance of injury, But
Mm.
two, it's going to make you a lot more likely to push yourself because you're going, right? You're ready to exercise, right?
Yeah, I think this leads into the one thing that we talked about a little bit yesterday, but I'd like to ask you again is what single muscle group or like movement pattern matters most for like long term strength when while you're trying to do this for like weight loss and stuff.
Yeah. So I would say definitely posterior chain, which is a fancy terminology for everything on your back side, right?
Yes.
So that's including your back and the back of your legs. And the main point here is like that lower back and practicing hinge movements because a lot of people when they're overweight they have back pain, right? Because their
Mm.
body's carrying body fat on them for so long and they need to take a seat, right? Kind of like
Mm.
rest their back,
Yeah.
right? And the thing is, if you can strengthen your back, right, you're gonna feel way more confident, way more comfortable in that weight loss.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
I think that's really important. And I've learned that because my back injury, when that last time I had an issue, it actually lasted like 6 months. And this past one was actually only like 1.5. So
yeah,
yeah, that core workout was a big thing. And this is like the last one for I have for you.
it's okay.
And I just want to ask you out of my curiosity because you are a social media influencer, and I wanted to know like how do you balance like the balance like authenticity, which I think you do very very well. Yours stuff is comes across as very authentic, but like
Mm.
how do you balance authenticity with like pressure to perform online, and what kinds of things do you do to like avoid the trap of like chasing a trend instead of teaching a fundamental?
And you know what? That is a really good question and really hits home because I'm also a communication major. So I know about performative authenticity,
Yeah.
right? Right? That type of thing, right? So I understand. And this is stuff I learned about in school and research in school. So
Mm.
you pretty much like hit the nail right on the head, right? And really, what it comes down to is there's a couple motivations for why people post certain things, right? They want to make themselves feel good. They want to make other people feel good, like giving value, or they want to do it for like monetary reward, right? Those types of things, right? And usually it's like a mix of them.
Mm.
And now how I do it is I just try to post things that I think my old self would be beneficial from, right?
Mm.
And that's how I view it. And it's like I'm posting my meal. This is me. I've lost 130 pounds. This is what I'm eating right now,
Mm.
right? Here's my
Yeah.
cardio. I'm doing cardio every day, right?
Yeah.
Where some people they might lose a certain amount of weight, right?
Mm.
And they might post like a fancy steak dinner or something
Yeah.
for like their only meals. But like I very rare, I like never do that, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like it's one of those things where it's like I try to make my content or whatever I post as much as like my life, what's going
Mhm.
on. And one thing that I'm actually working on is just telling more of like how I feel throughout the day because I feel like a lot more people can relate to that.
Yes.
Um, right? Because we're all human. We're all human, right? And I feel like I could provide not just a source of information, not just a
Mhm.
source of knowledge, but actually a source of solace, right?
Mm.
Because I was someone who was in a lot of people's shoes, right?
Yeah.
I know what it's like to be overweight for your whole life. I know what it's like to feel like it's impossible, right?
Mm.
And like we mentioned earlier, is we drowned out by all this different noise of
Yeah.
social media, all those different things, right? And it's like it's gonna sound corny,
Mm.
but me being overweight, it's almost like it was meant to be in this position to help people.
Mhm.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Be-
Yeah.
because
Well, I mean,
go ahead, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I was like, do you think that's what the biggest misconception people have about fitness influencers is that they're always perfect, they're always doing it right, they never have a hard time, or at least that's what they show, right?
Yeah, no, you're definitely right. And there's definitely parts of my life that I don't want to show because, yeah,
Obviously.
right. I don't feel like happy or proud showing, right? And like on my social media, I don't talk about certain topics. I just keep it to fitness or I just
Mm.
keep it to like emotional problems, stuff like that. I never really expand on a grander level.
Mhm.
And I I think if I were to give like opinions on subjects and things like that, it really divides people in a context where people don't need to be divided,
Yeah,
right?
we want to focus on the thing that is we all understand, and that's like our health, a
Yeah,
better life. Yeah.
yeah, right. So that is kind of like where I'm at in terms of my authenticity. But I really enjoy this question because it's something I study, right? And I look at, right? It literally, like a real topic that I study is performative authenticity, right?
Yeah,
Which is
it's
exactly
become
what we
real
talked
stuff.
about, people trying to be authentic,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. I think the one thing that made me follow you is the fact that it felt just authentic from the get go. You feel you felt like a real person.
Yeah, yeah,
There's a lot of people out there that'll be like, "There's no excuses," but they don't feel like real people.
yeah.
I want to see someone and have them be like, "No, I get it. I've been here." you
Yeah.
know. Yeah. I guess
And
that's what I got for it.
yeah, and just to kind of cap that, like how many people are like that are in shape that have something like this, right? That are
Mhm.
right. It's kind of rare to see a fitness trainer who was overweight for their whole life, right? There's people who were overweight, but like
Mm,
how many of them were like actually obese for a
mm.
long time,
Yeah,
right? That's like
doesn't happen often.
right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. No, that's great.
Thank you. I appreciate the questions. This is I thought it was very very helpful.
Okay, good. I hope that they were good questions. I tried
Yeah,
really hard.
yeah. No,
I
it was
did it
great.
on the way back from a drive, so.
Yeah, no, I thought it was great. I thought there was a lot of value here to be said,
Mhm.
and hopefully whoever is watching this can take what we said, apply it, right, and help themselves, right?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. I'm gonna end my recording.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Okay.